Mic test. Rishi, can you hear me? Good evening, Taazaa. Welcome to the 8th session of Taazaa X. I would request everyone to gather around for a wonderful session and last session for the year 2025. Let's just wait for a couple of more seconds. Our celebrity judges should be here very soon. So let's start. Perfect. So today's session will be delivered by one of the most minority job role in our Noida office, salespeople. We have the only sales guy on the floor, Rahul, who is going to deliver one of the most interesting sessions. This might be one of the conclusions from his retrospectives that he have done in last couple of months while working here. We have a very interesting topic, one of the lengthiest topic, a practical reflection on how I am rethinking the way we work, communicate, and create value in a rapidly changing tech landscape. Right, Rahul? With a round of applause, let's welcome Rahul.
Right, guys. Hi, guys. Thank you, Shivam, for the warm introduction and everyone who's joining in. Glad you guys are here. So, before I start the session, I just want to set a quick context of what this session is about. So, what I'm sharing today is based on the real and ongoing work that I do, like how my day look like, how I approach my day, exactly what I think when I'm on the system, right? A lot of these reflections actually started from a role which revolves around outreach. And it's more of a market facing role where I actually get in touch with people, prospects, and leaders in the industry. This all the segment of the prospect that I deal in, they keep on changing, and this is what refers by the line which says changing tech landscape. So this session is about sharing learnings from things I've learned, what worked, what exactly could be done better if I change my approach. So think of this as a practical session and not a lecture. And if any idea from here, if you rethink what you're actually doing today, this would be worth it. So, so I wanted to start here because I think we all feel this in a way or We all know that work today is moving faster than ever. This is something we all feel. And because decisions, messages, updates, everything is happening very quickly. At the same time, we keep adding more tools to help us move faster. But even with more tools, more dashboards, more reports, clarity hasn't increased. Because clarity hasn't increased, the process sometimes gets stuck. Or the value doesn't come up on the front page we want it to be. And on top of that, everyone is expected to do more. More output, more responsiveness, more ownership. So basically, the bar keeps rising, but the time to pause and think is shrinking all the way down the line. Now, this pressure doesn't come for a single goal. Instead, it is for every guy who's working in the industry, regardless of the role or department, the particular level. Now, as I spend more time observing how work actually is happening today, a few patterns became clear to me. The first information around us. Information in the form of dashboards, reports, messages, notifications, updates, a lot of these things. But having more information doesn't always have a lot of clarity in it. Now, chasing clarity is a different thing. Chasing updates and tools is a different thing. So I also started, I also started noticing how communication has changed over the time. Recently, communication has become very brief, very vague, which is tending to, decrease or reduce the context behind the message you want to say. Basically, messages are sent quickly, but the context behind it is getting lost. And when that starts, the whole order value you want to create starts getting reduced. So this isn't about things being done in the wrong way. Instead, it's about how you find or giving the efforts to create the value by the work that you're doing on the floor. Now, as my role has evolved over time, the pace of work is also increased. Plus, the expectation of work that you're doing currently is also getting increased every now and then. And paying, I started paying closer attention to patterns in how my time we are consuming throughout my day. Be it outreach, be it presenting anything, be it giving updates, everything and anything that I'm doing, time and efforts are not responsible. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, the efforts is not now the only differentiator anymore. Instead, what becomes clearer over time was that effort the only thing that is helping anyone to grow in their industry or in the tech landscape. That value isn't always created by doing more tasks, sending more messages. Instead, the value is created by thinking what you're doing currently, how you want to do it, and what is behind the logic, basically the logic behind doing anything that you're doing. So, once I started looking at work through this lens, once it became very clear, so I started giving more emphasis on relationships than transaction. Now, these relationships over transaction doesn't mean in the same life, but in the work that I'm doing. I began prioritizing these things just to not be a temporary workforce. It's how I can make valuable contributions for the team, for the company that I'm working, or for the tech industry that I belong to. The second shift was around context over volume. I found out that sending more messages or doing more tasks is not at all helping things that I want to chase or what I want to achieve. Instead, the why behind what I'm doing is making it easier to understand or to make the other person understand exactly the what behind what we are doing actually. Now, This is where AI enters in the picture. A lot of us have been using AI in different ways because all of us are in different roles, different positions, and different responsibility to different work. But if I talk about myself, taking AI or adopted AI as a thinking assistant, thinking maybe like initial thoughts, organizing things, initial research, and what it has given me. It has given me immense time, which now I can put in maybe, contextual thinking or sharing learnings or even making judgments. Because I think AI is not something which usually rely on taking decisions on your behalf. The intent and clarity should be the human. The call should be a human. Just the assistance in any way that you want to could be AI. Now, I want to take a pause there and make this broader. Because this way of thinking isn't tied to one group. It should be there and it is there for different roles, different prospects, different people, and different hierarchy in the tech landscape. One example is starting with context instead of jumping into tasks. Let's say we got a project. So I think the process must and should be first discussing whom we are building for, what the users in the ecosystem, and what exactly we are wanting to change. I think this is collaboratively helping the client, helping us as an industry experts, and also deliver value from these insights. Now, finally, the conversation then changes. The pace of work today has been increased. Everyone is willing to move fast. Is expected to move fast, deliver the work before time, and things like that is hindering maybe the performances, the expectations, and how we do our work. So when I look back at what actually made a difference with respect to my work or the work that I've been involved in, wasn't a single tool or a tool. I think it was a combination of all the things, all the strategies, all the work input that I adopted and executed in my work, which is now helping me to provide value, to fulfill the responsibility that I want to again create the value that I wanted to create from them. Now, another factor to context is you understand the why collaboration becomes easier. Let's say there's a project which came to us, and without actually discussing the project, without actually discussing the end goals, a team of developers started, creating it or start the code of whatever the. Eventually, we realized that A, the users were not there, B, maybe the use case was not specified, and C, maybe the goal was not complete. What it resulted in more corrections, a lot of rework, and the time lost in the resources which were aligned to this particular project. Now, to change this, again I will emphasize on the part. If we know why, we can always emphasize or improvise the what we are looking for. Now, this way of thinking started from my individual work, my role. My role was business development. Right? So now I started thinking about it as my role, how I can make a difference and how I can be valuable to the team that I have brought in. But it connects with strongly to how we operate in Taazaa X. One place chosen is in how we explain what we build. It's not important, it's not the only important thing is not what we are building today. The more important how we are building it, how we are solving the problem, and how we are collaborating to reach the end goal, not just what we are delivering at the end of the project. The area is how we talk about AI and technology, be it custom development software, be it AI powered solutions. What sets us apart is how we build it and not what we deliver at the end. And finally, this thinking applies to how teams align internally. Maybe the teams internally are aligning on the projects that we are doing. Maybe the teams internally are aligning on the problem that we are solving. Or maybe the use case specific learning that we are sharing. Now, one idea that kept coming to me through all of this was storytelling, the role of storytelling. Not a polished storytelling, but I would say real stories which are behind the scenes, visuals which we can keep up in front of the world. In many teams and companies, most of the stories that are told are the delivery end or the final goals, which are exactly the clear wins. But in my opinion, learning happens way before it. Sometimes it happens when the team experiments. Sometimes it happens when the team decides what we are building, or sometimes in another way. Basically, sometimes it happens that things are not going how we are planning. So these things accumulate to the learnings as a team. Now, as you all know, those stories are powerful because these are the honest stories. They build trust internally and they make external conversation more relatable. External conversation becomes more relatable because as a team, you know where are the gaps, what are the use cases that you want to chase, what are the users that you are building for, how those users would be satisfied with the end project, the end product that they have. Now, I want to be clear here, this isn't a recommendation or a new initiative that I want to start. It's just some ideas that are worth exploring. One idea is sharing more behind the scenes videos internally, maybe externally as well. But those insights often help team avoid friction, or they also give other team members a different perspective of how these challenges are being tackled. Another is making use case specific learning visible across the team. This also helps understand what are the challenges faced by team A, what could be the challenges faced by team B, and how these challenges faced by team A and B could help team C. So basically, being transparent about the challenges we are solving across the projects that we are doing could help maybe the developer team or the business analyst team or the data team to not stuck at that particular problem, and some of the problems could be common throughout these projects. So sharing the learnings is something that would help us in the long run. Now, at the end, I want to close with a few questions and not conclusions. These questions keep coming back to me when I see my work, when I see how I should look things a different way. The first one is around clarity and speed. So where in our work, moving slightly slower could help the other person achieve or help the other person think how we can run in a longer run or how we can be valuable in the long run. Another is about knowledge. We solve interesting problems every day, but do you think every interesting problem that we are solving today is traveling as a learning across the department or across the organization? If no, I think this could be one of the initiative or this could be one of the experiment that we could do to enhance and improvise the working and the learning that we are currently doing. And finally, value instead of big changes. Where could small shift in our work today help people to learn more and for a longer run, not just be limited to a particular project or a particular school? I think that was my time. Thank you so much for the opportunity to see these videos. Thank you so much. I would like to ask if you guys have any questions. This is my medium. Anyone want to pay? Give me sure. So the show guys, be relaxed. Any questions, guys? Anyone? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're being a lovely organization.
Was the main session of I think last session later. Everyone, happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you next year. Thank you.